This is Diane Cooper with Weather Integrations. In this video, we're going to talk about the forecast for the last part of July and then look at the climate outlooks into August. And this is for 2017. I will highlight that this video was recorded on July 20th of 2017. So getting started, we're going to talk about the rainfall forecast first, and this is looking at the next week. We actually have a pretty active pattern right now with the jet stream pretty far to the north, so that's keeping all of those systems to the north. We have a surface boundary that's kind of the focus for all this rainfall that you're seeing from the upper Mississippi River Valley into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. And that's going to eventually start to sag south as we get into the weekend, and then that's going to allow that rainfall to spread more to the east coast and even some rainfall into the southeast. The second area that we're watching is the monsoons. It's really started to kick in, and so that's with this precipitation that we're seeing out in the desert southwest and into the Four Corners. You notice that we got some pretty decent amounts, and that's a little bit concerning. We could see some flooding out there. It honestly only takes about a half an inch to an inch of rainfall to cause flooding in that part of the country just because of the desert lands. So taking a look at the temperatures next, and this is for the period of July 21st through the 25th. And unfortunately, you're just going to see continuation of the heat wave that we're currently seeing across a good part of the U.S. right now. So we're expecting much above normal temperatures for the 22nd, and so that's into the weekend across the central Mississippi River Valley. We're also looking at an area through the mid-Atlantic through the weekend, 22nd and 23rd. Because we are in hurricane season, we want to give you a quick glance of what we're seeing from a tropical perspective. So we're going to start with the Atlantic Basin, and great news, we're really not seeing much in the way of development or expecting much in the way of development for the next few days. Switching over to the Pacific Basin, we do have some activity out there. Those storms are expected to really push westward, so shouldn't be a problem for the U.S., but I want to highlight this one storm that we're showing a 40 to 60% chance of developing. And the reason I highlight that is because this is a part of the area that we tend to see kind of be a source for our monsoons. And so that can be a contributor for the monsoon moisture levels. So that's just something to keep in mind. While we typically don't get a direct hit in the U.S. from a Pacific tropical system, we absolutely will see increased moisture levels, increased rainfall amounts, really all up and down the plain states into the Rocky Mountains with Pacific storms. So that's why we wanted to highlight those. So now we're going to take a look at precipitation. This is for July 27th through August 2nd. And the upper level jet stream pattern is going to shift a little bit, and so that's going to help this above normal precipitation really come into the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and into the Appalachia region. And the ridge is going to kind of build up into Canada, so that's going to allow for this area to be below normal for precipitation for a good chunk of the Northwest and into the Central Plains. The above normal that we're looking at is really continuation of monsoons into the Four Corners, and again, that's a flooding concern for that region. Temperatures, just really a continuation of what we've got going on at the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere with that jet stream way far north into Canada, and then it actually kind of dips south into the Northeast. So that's why we're seeing the risk of below normal temperatures actually for the last part of July and first few days of August for the Northeast. And then the rest of the country just is going to be pretty daggone warm. These pretty strong signals of above normal temperatures for the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming, something we're going to have to watch. And they're in drought, and I'll share a little bit about that later, but that's a little bit concerning. And then we're actually looking at some normal temperatures in the far northwest part of Washington state. So now moving on into the actual outlets for August itself. So from a precipitation standpoint, we're seeing far southern Texas into the southwestern part of Texas and really into that traditional monsoon area, Four Corners, desert southwest, where we're focusing for above normal precipitation. And it's just really kind of continuation of the monsoon season, and that's really kind of the driver for that. Otherwise, we've got equal chances across the remainder of the U.S. I want to highlight, as we're talking about the outlooks for August, some of the big drivers right now is really more the longer term atmospheric patterns, we're in a neutral ENSO state, so we do not have an El Nino or La Nina condition, so that the ENSO state is not a contributor in these outlooks at all. And so I just want to highlight that it's really more the atmospheric patterns right now. One of the bigger drivers that we're kind of monitoring is something called the mean Julian oscillation, and then you may have heard MJO for short, and that typically impacts the east, so that's something we're going to be watching, especially August and into the fall. So for temperatures, honestly, when you get into August and you're seeing it above normal across a good part of the country, that's never a good sign, because that's getting into the hottest part of the year. And we're just going to continue to see those signals, especially in the northern plains, high plains, into the western U.S. The Northeast is actually going to shift and probably see some above normal for the full month of August, and then really along the Gulf Coast region. The equal chances in the desert Southwest Four Corners is really kind of a translation of the fact that we've got that monsoon above normal precipitation. So you're going to have more clouds, and that's just going to help keep temperatures probably more normal, or actually more variance. We're really not getting a signal there of above, below, or normal. Is a better way to say that. So current drought situation, I alluded to this, that's really concerning that we're seeing above normal temperatures, and this is why, because we've really expanded our drought in the high plains, northern plains, into Montana. We've now got some D4 exceptional drought conditions that have developed in North Dakota, and that is really a concerning point, but we've also seen a lot of abnormally dry and even some D1 moderate drought conditions develop all through the plain states. Got a lot more patchy, abnormally dry as you go into the west, and the D1s have expanded a little bit as you go into the south. So as you look at the change from when we talked last about a month ago, you're seeing a lot of yellows, oranges, and a little bit of browns, and so that's showing that conditions are worsening from a drought standpoint. On the flip side, if you look at the southeast, that's the good news. We really have seen a little bit more improvement. And if you look at the map, we've even eradicated most of the abnormally dry. So that's some great news, at least for the southeast. One thing I want to highlight with the drought monitor, while they are not released until Thursday, they're actually created on a Tuesday. So any precipitation that you receive in between the creation date and the release date is not going to be accounted for in this drought monitor. So in summary, what are we looking at for the remainder of July? Well, we do have the signals of above normal precipitation in parts of the Four Corners and the Northeast. We have dry conditions across much of the central U.S. with the stronger signals of dry as you go into the northwestern U.S. From a temperature standpoint, we're looking at cool to normal across the Northeast into the Appalachians, and then remember we've got that little section of northwestern Washington State that we're looking at maybe about normal. Otherwise, across the remainder of the U.S., it's going to be warm, and we've got stronger signals of above normal temperatures in the Dakotas, Montana, and into Wyoming. For the month of August as a whole, the monsoons are going to keep the Four Corners wetter than normal. Otherwise, we really don't have any good clear signals for precipitation. So it comes back down to the equal chances of same possibility of above, below, or normal. For temperatures, we're looking at above normal expected for most of the U.S., with parts of the northern plains seeing stronger signals of above normal. From a drought perspective, again, the drought has really worsened in the northern plains. We've now got that exceptional drought, or D4, and conditions have been really dry across really much of the central U.S., and so now we're seeing those areas of abnormally dry to even some pockets of moderate drought, D1. With the continued wet in the southeast, the good news is the abnormally dry conditions have really been erased. I want to highlight, especially from a precipitation standpoint, that you're going to get isolated thunderstorms that are going to produce heavy rainfall. That has not really been accounted for in these outlooks. Thunderstorms are driven by really smaller influences, and the larger scale patterns don't really show those thunderstorm impacts. In addition, hurricanes are really challenging to pinpoint of specific locations that they will impact, so they are also not accounted for in these outlooks. So as we close out, we just want to remind you as to who we are with Weather Integrations. And our company provides critical weather forecasts and notifications that are tailored to your specific business. We have our weather action alerts that are always going to include a recommendation of how you as one of our clients can alter your plans to take advantage of the weather. So we're trying to help you identify what those optimal weather days are to do a specific task or operation, while also highlighting when we've got a risk day. And with this strategy, we're going to help you improve your net profits. Our Growcaster product is our weather decision tool that is specifically tailored for those in agriculture. So if you are in agriculture, if you go to WxIntegrations.com, you can sign up and start your free trial today.